Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends series first appearance, Iron Man. And for ages 4 and up, this is from the new line of Marvel Legends. On the back of the package, a brief read-up says Tony Stark revolutionizes the technology industry starting with his high-powered suit as Iron Man. That same is also carried over in other languages as well. Other figures available, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man Noir, Marvel's Triton, Ulik, Yondu, and Iron Man. To check out more, you can go to www.marvel.com. You can also head over to Hasbro at www.hasbro.com as well. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the Marvel Legends series 3 3/4 inch first appearance Iron Man. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's get a better look at Iron Man. Truthfully, I really wanted to like this figure as being a big fan of Iron Man and the suits as a whole. I really wanted to like this figure, but ultimately, I have to admit, I don't. Let's touch base on some of the things that maybe I do like. Body mold and body design of the figure actually is not overly terrible. It's a more, I guess, dated, more bulky look of the Iron Man suit. There's simplicity, I suppose, to be enjoyed for this figure. It's not certainly the more lavish, more colorful looking Iron Man suit. So I'll give it that. The paint on some level I do like. It's got this weird sort of, I'm not sure how to describe it. There's something funky about the plastic or the paint or something that they tried to do. I think they tried to give it like a metallic look, which in it itself could work. But then I don't know if it's coupled with the idea that the plastic is just not really great plastic. I don't really know, because areas such as, okay, let's take the most primary, let's look at the area that looks like it's finished the most, and that's probably like the torso area here. This can give us a good gauge as to how the paint and plastic probably was intended to be applied. Now this area isn't terrible. There's a couple of little like bullet holes or little dents here, a couple of little notches there as well. That paint isn't too bad. But then when you start comparing that to the face, this side's not so bad, but for some reason it gets really disastrous over here. And I don't think I can chalk it all up to, well, that's what they wanted it to look like, versus that's what it ultimately came out looking like. The same thing also happens in the arm area too. The arms just get really gobbled up and just disastrous. I don't even know what's wrong with it, but it's like the plastic looks like it's just really funky. Legs get a little iffy as well. Like even you can see down here, you've got a pretty clean looking silver on the back, but then all of a sudden you'll just get this one area where it's this marbleized kind of plastic treatment. It doesn't look like it's right. In fact, I can kind of say, looking at it as a whole, the figure doesn't look like it's right. There's a lot of areas on the figure too that feel loose. I don't feel like, I'm borderline thinking that the figure feels cheap, but I know understandably so, it's also a 3 3/4 inch figure. But like areas such as the arms, like the hands here and the feet, are just loose. They just feel like there's not really much keeping it together. Like the hand you can just basically spin if you really wanted to. Like again, like there's that, I don't want to call it degradation of plastic, but it's almost like the plastic wasn't properly cured or wasn't properly ready for the mold itself. I wanted to ask myself, is some of this perhaps a reuse of a mold from the original Iron Man wave, where there was a, the original, I think there was a comic wave and a movie wave. The comic wave where it was like a first suit. I don't know if some of the armor has carried over from that. Like the lower legs look like they might be. Possibly this area might look like it might be as well. But I have to admit, it's an ugly figure. Not ugly from the standpoint of the source material, but ugly from the way it's been presented. Like especially on the side here. It even looks like he's got a underdeveloped eye that's forming at the side of his head. I mean, you could at least get away with the idea. You could get away with the idea that maybe because Tony has forged this armor himself, that it could be just simply, well, they wanted to make it look like that, but I really don't feel like that's the case. And then he's got this antenna at the top, which luckily, it's not super bendable, but it's not super brittle either, which is one good thing. Like even the back looks like it's finished properly. This area doesn't look so bad, but then you start matching it to this arm and like this leg, it looks like just a big cluster. Okay, so having a look at his articulation. Tony doesn't have much. Doesn't have much certainly in the head. Shoulders hinge out. That's at least one good thing. Arms rotate all the way around. He's got a bend in the elbow, which also rotates the forearm. He has a rotation in the wrists, but the hands, and my phone's probably going to agree with me, the hands are really loose. You just basically spin them. He has no waist articulation. He has the old leg articulation, which makes me think a lot of this might be reused. Swivel point the thigh, double hinge knee. Like again, like look at the plastic on it. It's just something doesn't seem right about it. And finally, there's a ball joint, what appears to be a ball hinge joint in the foot. And there's the undersides of his feet. I can't say 100% it's a case of degradation of mold if they have reused this mold, but it's not one of the better Iron Man suits. Not at all. I'd say pick him up, but you're probably going to notice the same thing I'm seeing on this figure. There's just a lot of things wrong with the figure that overshadows the things that are good about the figure. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the new Marvel Legends series, looking today at Iron Man. Iron Man has seen better days. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.